Okay, this is part 2 for 2.8. This is part 2 for 2.8. Okay, let's just go over this one more time. If you have a less than or a greater than sign, you're going to use a dotted line when you're graphing. If it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, you're going to use a solid line. And we also learned yesterday that you have to shade all of your graphs. Okay, the difference is there's an absolute value in our graph. An absolute value makes a V, if you guys remember this from 2.7. Notice where the -2 is located. It's located outside the grouping symbol, so it's going to move your V down 2. It used to be at 0, 0, and I moved my V down 2, and it's going to end up being a solid V. The reason why it's a solid V is because there's greater than or equal. So greater than is above the V, and less than is going to be below the V. Greater than is going to be above the V, and less than is going to be below the V. And this is greater than, so all I'm going to shade is above the V. So let's do a couple more of 2.8, second part. I can even do one more. Y is less than 1/2 x minus 4 minus 6. Okay, you know you're making a V because of the absolute value signs. Notice the -4 is inside. It's going to move it to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. But it's also going to move it down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here's my new V. There's my new V. And it's going to be wider than the usual V. So it's going to look like this. And remember, it needs to be dotted and wide. Everybody knows why it needs to be dotted? Because there's no line underneath it. Remember, if it's a greater than, you shade above the V. If it's less than, you shade below the V. And it's less than, so I shade below the V. Okay, let's do one more to make sure you know what you're doing. Y is less than or equal to the absolute value of x plus 1 minus 2. Last problem for the second part, graphing absolute values. Okay, you know you're making a V because of the absolute value. The +1 is inside, and remember +1 means to go to the left 1. So I'm coming towards the left 1, and then I'm going to also go down 2. So there's my new vertex for my V. And I know it's a solid line. It's solid because it's less than or equal to. Remember, less than, you shade below. Greater than, you shade above. This is less than, so you just shade below. And that's all the notes for the second part of 2.8.